Hello, welcome to another video from myself, Mark, the Cloud Geezer. We are today looking at doing a migration of an M365 account to another M365 tenant. So a tenant-to-tenant move with Exchange Online. We're going to use the MigrationWiz console to do that for us. And I'm going to show you how to set up what you need to do in the source and the target tenant, and also how to configure the project. And then you'll see the mail coming over as part of this little demonstration. So we'll start off with the source tenant and what we need to do on that side, and then we're going to sign into MigrationWiz and start that project off. So in both of the tenants, the source and the target, there's two things we need to do. And firstly, we need to set up the app registration, which we can use for the modern authentication between the two. And secondly, we need to turn on the application impersonation, so that the service account can actually get into that data and do what it needs to do. That we do from PowerShell. The first one, though, the app registration, we are doing through the Azure AD, or as it's now called, the Microsoft Entra. And we can do that by getting into the normal admin console, as you can see here, and go to Identity. It'll take us into this main screen, and so you can see this is the Cozy Mouse. So we're looking at Bob Jones at cozymouse.com. We're going to take him to my other tenant, and he'll become bob.jones at planium.com in the other side. So on the Cozy Mouse side, we need to go to applications and have a look at the app registrations. And there'll be a few there. We're not going to use any of those. We're going to create a nice new one in there. And I'm going to refer also to the BitTitan Help Center, because it's got a couple of things you need to cut and paste into what we're doing to make this work properly. I just bring this one over here. Excuse the scrolling. But what you'll find, it talks about what you need to do to make this work. Now, what I'm interested in here is, actually, first of all, I should show you, that is Help Center, Perform a Migration, 365 Migrations, and Exchange Online to Exchange Online, basically. So, but down here, if we go down a little bit, you've got the ModernAuth requirements. Expand that one out. What I'm after is this little guy here. So I'm going to copy that one out and just put that away for a second. And excuse my dogs in the background. Hey, it's 2023. What do you want? We all got that in the background somewhere. But we do new registration, and we're going to give it a name. So we'll call this MigrationWiz, and we'll call it Cozy Mouse to Planium. It doesn't matter the name. We just give it a name in there. Now we need to do the second one down in here, and we need to select the platform of public client, and that is where we paste that little line that we got from earlier. Let me register on that. And then we're pretty well done, but we need to do two more things in there. First of all, we need to go to the Authentication tab and turn on the public flow, which is this guy here. And hit save on that. And now we go back to API permissions, and we need to give this API, obviously, some permissions. How about that? So we're going to go to APIs my organization uses, and we're going to type in, if you type in Office 365 in there, it's the Exchange Online, this one here, which is the one we want. So we click on that, and we will be doing delegated permissions because we're using that impersonation, EWS. Take that one there, add permission, and that's really all we need in there. But we do obviously need to grant the admin consent like so. That will go to yes, and then we are done. Now, importantly, what you need to do is go back to the overview, and you want to fire up a notepad. So with the notepad up, what you're actually after is you want to grab the client ID and the tenant ID. Now, going back to that help desk article, excuse me again, I'll slide that in there. You can see what it wants is you to create these entries. So I'm going to grab these because they're very, very helpful to have in there. And do the same thing for all four. And that's the beauty of a pause button. Okay, so really what they're doing is when we set up the ModernAuth on the project, it gives us these IDs for export, which is obviously the source, and then import being the target. So what we're going to grab is the client ID for Cozy Mouse, which is the source, and that will go into this guy. And we want the tenant ID, which is this one, into here, and we're going to grab the same when we do the target one as well. So we'll just put that down there, but we'll come back to that one later. That is important to have. But really, that is all we need to do on that side, inside Entra. Now we do need to connect through PowerShell and run a couple of commands to turn on that application impersonation. So in here, admin session with PowerShell, we'll run the connect Exchange Online and connect into the first one, the source tenant, which is Cozy Mouse. Putting in the user and the password to connect in there. That runs in there nicely. Good. Now, if you haven't done application impersonation before, you need to turn on, and it's a little command down here, which is enable organization customization, that one. Now I'm going to run it. It's going to error because we've already run it. It's going to come up with a lot of purple saying you've already run this. And you can see here, operation not required, or organization already enabled. Now, if you haven't run it before, it will just come back to a normal prompt and then you can carry on. But there's no harm in running it again and getting the error. It's not going to do anything. But what we do need to do is put in here the command for adding a management role, which is that application impersonation, to a service account. Now, if you haven't created a service account, I'd suggest you go and create one just with normal, just exchange rights or GA, whatever you're comfortable with, but it has to have access into the Exchange Online, obviously. And I normally call my one just MigrationWiz, MIGWIZ, at whatever your domain is, and then you can use that in the project setups as well. So what we're going to do here is bind that ID into the application impersonation. So what we're just going to do is just check that we do have that user set up. And there we are, active users, quick search, MigrationWiz. You can see MigrationWiz at Cozy Mouse, and we are obviously good to go on that one then. So let's go back to that window, which is this guy here. Okay, and I'm going to run that command now, which is new management role assignment, and we're going to give it a role application impersonation, and the user is MigrationWiz at cozymouse.com. Here we go. And you can see that has done it. Now, if it doesn't do it, sometimes in some tenants, it doesn't work. It just comes an error and says you're not allowed to create this. It just complains. Even though you're a GA in the tenant, whatever, it just refuses to go through. Not the end of the world, because you can actually do this through the GUI. Now, I said before, it's using PowerShell. We set this up. It's just easier on PowerShell because you'd have these commands all ready to cut and paste in, and you're good to go. But if you do want to do it through the GUI, you can. Let me show you how you can go about doing that. So here, if you go into the Exchange Admin Center, you'll see you've got roles and then admin roles. Go into that, you'll find this is the one we've made. And if we have a look at it, you can see it's assigned to, and there's our MigrationWiz account that we assigned to previously. And permissions-wise, go down, it should have the application impersonation there, which is what we need. Now, if you wanted to create one yourself, all you're doing there is saying add a role group and doing exactly that. You just add in, call it application impersonation. The permissions, you give the same, and then you can apply the users that you want to apply in there. So it's pretty easy to set up and do. I mean, if I actually just go through this and we put it, so it doesn't really matter what the name is. Permission-wise, you would go down the bottom of this one. There's your application impersonation, and next, and then give some names. So I'd put in the MIG. There's that MigrationWiz account. Next, and of course, I'm not going to finish that one, but that's how you would do it. It's that easy to do it. So you can do it through PowerShell, or you can do it through here. They both work exactly the same way, but you do have to do it in both the source and the target tenant, along with that service account as well. So I'll cover everything at the end about those little steps you need to do. But that really is everything we're going to do on the source tenant. That is now completed. So we're really going to go and do exactly the same thing on the target tenant. So coming across to our target tenant here, this is the, as you can see, this is the TCG5 demo, which is my Planium account. You can see there's the Planium, there's some other domains there we've used for some of the other testing we've done. But really we want to go show all. We're going to pop into the identity to get us into the Entra side of the house. And I'm just going to create that app registration. Once again, you'll find some already in here from what I've done previously, but we'll just ignore those. We're going to create a nice new one for this one. So really it is just new registration, and you can have as many as you want. I mean, you just assign a new app registration to every single project if you like, or you could reuse them. You can reuse the same application IDs in multiple projects. It's really up to you how you want to do that. But we'll just call this one MigrationWiz, and I called it that CMPL demonstration we had before. You get pretty used to doing this, to be honest, and just cut and paste that out of the help desk article again and register that. And quite quickly, we'll go into authentication and pop down, turn on the public flow, and API permissions. We will add permission. API is my org users, and of course, that once you type in Office, you're going to see Exchange Online, delegated, EWS, turn that on. Yeah, done this 1,000 times. Grant the permission. I might just make this box a bit bigger so you can see that things a little better. There we go. Okay, so that's now granted that, which is great. Now we just need to go in and create the entries in Notepad. So client ID, this one here. Once again, client ID. Remember this one from just before, and this one here. Copy that to there. There we go. So we've got those stored away, which is great. Now, once again, we'll do the application impersonation. Make sure we've got that service account as well. So let's just jump back to our users, and we should have a MigrationWiz account. Pretty sure we do in there. Yeah, there we are. MigrationWiz at planium.com. So we have that. Good. And so now let's just go into the PowerShell. So we'll do the connect exchange online password, and it'll ask me for the MFA side. Next, cool. Should go through that. Excellent. Okay, so now we're connected in. Now, I know we've done it before. I don't need to do that enable organization customization, but we are going to have a look at that. We'll just do that new management role assignment. If you have done it before and it's already in there, it's not, as I say, the end of the world. It will just add it in as a secondary, and that is totally okay for it as well. Get the spelling right. User is MigrationWiz at planium.com. There we go. So yeah, once again, that just runs in. Again, if it didn't, you could do it by hand in the GUI, but you can see it's very easy to do it through PowerShell. So that is now done. So really, we are quite ready. Actually, both tenants are set up completely, which is nice. And we'll now set up the MigrationWiz side and pull that data across. Okay, so I'm signed into MigrationWiz, and I will create a new project, and that will obviously be a mailbox project, and we're going to give it a name. Let's call it Cozy Mouse Demo, and we're going to add a new customer. We haven't done anything with the Cozy Mouse domain before, so we'll skip the new. Just put those details in, save that, and that's all good to go. Next step. So we've got two endpoints to create, the source, obviously, and the target, and we'll create new endpoints for these ones. So we'll do that, give it a name as well. So I've called this one Cozy Mouse M365, and of course it is an M365. Now this is where it's going to ask for that MigrationWiz account. MigrationWiz at cozymouse.com. I'll give that a password too. Like that, and hit add. Okay, that's all good. No, thank you. And next step, target. So we do now we don't need to do necessarily a new one, but of course this, well, you'd think, and this is, let me explain what's going on here. The endpoints that you create, you may say, well, I've already got an endpoint into that TCG U5 demo. I've already got endpoints in there already. Why do I keep having to create new ones? The endpoints are specific to the company that you've set up. So the fact that I created a new company called Cozy Mouse, it's fine. If I'm doing multiple migrations for the same domain, I might have different batches and things like that. You choose the same company, you'll then get the drop down to say what the endpoint will be, and you just go select them. You do not have to create new endpoints for every project you make. You just have to do it per company, which is why I'm having to create brand new ones. These are the first ones we've done for this Cozy Mouse side of the house. So I'll call this one Planium M365, give it there, and then give it the login name as well. Like so. Add that in. I'll pop in there. Once again, thanks to LastPass, but no, thank you. We don't need to do that. And next step. Now, we're not going to do anything with the tenant-to-tenant coexistence. That is a system that I put together back when I was at BitTitan. What it does is it allows to have like a coexistence matter, so you can have automatic forwarding from one side to the other. Lots of different scenarios there. If I click on enable, and you see it's actually saying you really want to short, because what it will do is it will go into the back end, create mail objects for you. It'll create contact objects if you tell it that, and actually do forwarding backwards and forwards. If you've got a very large migration, this is quite a good feature. Well, I'm biased obviously, but it's a good feature to have. We just cancel that for now. We don't need this for this particular project, but yeah, go check it out. It's it can be very useful. So we say save and go to summary. I do want to go into advanced options though, because this here is where you're going to be putting in those the details from the application IDs that we collected earlier. So what we do is we hit plus, 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 plus. We have 4 of them, and we're going to be cut and pasting these items into here. So we're just going to grab them one by one. I'll do one there, but I'll just do the others quickly for you. Like that. And why it's a good idea to cut and paste it out of the help desk article or keep it yourself is because if it is case sensitive. So if I put a lowercase I in there, and I've done that on a migration before and it hasn't worked and it's taken me a while to fix it, it worked out I typed this in and put client ID with a lowercase I, and it just did not work. So it's a good idea to cut and paste that in. Just a little tip for you. And lastly, you just want to check that these are turned on, EWS impersonation, and on the source and destination, it's also ticked here. That's important as well. Just while I'm here as well, you can specify different source. You could say from recoverable items to recoverable items. That could be a project you're setting up, or you can migrate directly from the mailbox into someone's archive on the other side. As I say, handy things to know that you may not know exist in that MigrationWiz console if you haven't been through these yet. But yeah, definitely something worth checking out. I've got a whole video just on these advanced options. So go and have a look in the channel. You'll see that too. So hit save on that. That'll take you back to this screen. We save project. You'll get the screen where now we can add some users in. So I just want to do a quick add, and I'm going to put the name in here, which is the Bob Jones. I'll just put those in there and save item and close. That'll take us back to the main screen, which you would, if you've used it before, you'll be familiar with this. And right, so first thing we want to do in here is we're going to give Bob a license. So we'll tick him here, apply licenses, use a migration bundle. I should have some left, I think, in here. Let's have a look. Yep, just 4. That's enough for this. So I'll add that in. That'll take a few minutes to apply. When it does and you refresh, it'll just say yes in there. Once it's done, we can't do anything until that license is applied. So I'm just going to sit here and pretend to be hammering away at the refresh button. But I'll just wait a few minutes and go and check it out afterwards. So there we go. We got the yes next to that. So we can do the kickoff. Now we can do a pre-stage. If you're doing a large migration and you've got tons of users, gigs and gigs of mail, do a pre-stage beforehand, and you can pre-stage it with different options. If I show you down the bottom of this one, you can see generally you'd say pre-stage up to 30 days ago, and then when you do the final cutover, you're only doing the last 30 days of mail. So the cutovers can be relatively quick, which is really the ideal thing. Now you'll notice as well that when you do a pre-stage, it doesn't give you the option to do contacts and calendars. Contacts and calendars only work in the full migration. They're really tiny when it comes to bandwidth. So really it's a nice thing to do nice and clean. Once you get the pre-migration done, full migration, mail, contacts, calendar, the whole kit and caboodle goes over there. So here I'm just going to say 30 days ago. I'm not going to pre-stage the mail on this one because I want to just demonstrate the whole thing coming in. It is a small mailbox. I don't need to pre-stage, but I could. I'm going to hit here, start, and hit full migration. Now, you'll notice I haven't done the verify credentials yet. Now, that is a step which is definitely recommended. It confirms that everything is good on both sides of the side of the migration. So you know what? I'm going to go and verify the credentials and hit OK on that. What it does is it makes sure that the service accounts have access with the impersonation to the mailboxes, the ModernAuth is working correctly, and the endpoints are basically tied together as they should do. So you definitely want to be doing the verification. If you're a bit gung-ho with it and you just go and you feel confident, you can bang go with a full migration and do it. That's up to you. It'll just fail if it doesn't work. So you're all good. Now remember that when you submit something like this, it'll sit in a submitted stage. And once again, no matter how many times you hammer away at this blooming refresh button, it's not going to change. Just let it bake, let it chill. And that's why we always say that the English invented the internet and they invented the cloud. It's a bit of a joke over here that I bring up because it gives us the opportunity when we're doing things and we need to wait. It's like, just chill out, guys. You need to just go and sit down, go and have a cup of tea, go and relax, put the kettle on, good English way. Do that, have a cup of tea, right? Come back, and then you'll find it's probably worked. So, like I say, the cloud was definitely invented by the English to promote the cup of tea industry. Anyway, there's a bit of a tidbit of useless crap for you. Right, so I'm going to pause this video now while we wait for this to come through and come back. It should come back with completed verification, I hope, and we'll pick it up after that. And with a quick refresh, there we go, completed verification. So, excellent. We have everything tied together nicely. We are good to go with a full migration. So let's kick it off. Full migration. Good. We've already got the license applied, which is there. Now, with that user license, user migration bundle license, we can do the documents as well and use Deployment Pro and all the other features that we have. And that's why it's called a UMB license. But you can see now, the pre-stage gave us the option just to do the mail. This is talking about notes and rules and journals and tasks and pretty much anything. We can schedule it to start at a particular time if we want. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to kick this off right now. Here we go. So once again, we just wait for a bit and it will start cranking in the back end and you'll see mail coming into here. So I'm going to log into this account and I'm going to see it blank right now and then we should be able to see it all start flooding in shortly. So here's the new account for Bob Jones, and you can see if we go on here, we can see Bob Jones at planium.com. It's all nice and fresh, nothing in here as yet. And if I flick back to his mailbox on Cozy Mouse, this one here, you can see he does have lots of mail from those little groups we signed him up for as a test. And if we look at his account here, you can see Bob Jones at Cozy Mouse. So what I'm expecting is, once this all works, is to have all of that mail, obviously, thrown over into his account on the Planium tenant. So we will just sit back and wait for that to appear now. So another refresh, you can see that's good. Now it's been queued and it'll then go to a progress bar and then we should start seeing mail drop in that account. Now, there we go. That actually happened pretty quickly actually. You see there's our mail. You should see it. Yep, it's growing slightly to 21. Not quick enough to catch it all coming in, but looking at that, that is all his mail. As you can see here, all sent to Bob Jones at Cozy Mouse, obviously. That's where it was sent to, but of course it's sitting inside now this planium.com. And we can do anything we want with these ones, obviously. But yeah, that's what we should see. If I just grab that and go down here and refresh here, we should see, yeah, there's our progress bar. If I go into it, then you can see that it's it says it hasn't started Migrate. It hasn't caught up yet by the look of it. But you can see that of what it would be doing. Give it a second. That console will catch up and then, there we go. Look, migrated 11 meg of mail. So go back in there. Yeah, there we go. I was probably a little bit too premature on that one. But you can see now what it's done, how many mails and everything there. And all the counts. Pretty small mailbox, to be fair. And a few rules and things like that. But you can see that it has done it. Which is the key thing, and it's obviously coming in with all of this. And coming back to this screen, yeah, there we go, completed full migration. As I said before, tiny mailbox, so it does happen very, very quickly. But you can see how easy that it really is to set up source and destination tenant with those items there, and just keep adding in users. And you don't have to map the UPNs name for name. I mean, Bob Jones, you could put it into B Jones or Bob J or whatever it is, really, because the mapping will just work whatever you choose as a source and destination. And of course, your destination can also be a shared mailbox. It doesn't have to be a user mailbox. Anyway, that's all I have for you on this one. That concludes an M365 to M365 tenant mail migration using MigrationWiz, 2 separate tenants. Obviously, if this was a merger and acquisition at the end of it, we'd then strip out the Cozy Mouse domain from that tenant and then move it across. There's other videos I've got on all that sort of thing. But really, as I said before, I wanted to show you just a real quick how to get one tenant email to another tenant email inside M365 using this MigrationWiz tool and just get it done nice and quickly. And there you go. There you have it. So yeah, as always, guys, subscribe to the channel. You know, I love it when you do that. I always say that, but I do. It's really good when I see all the subscriber count going up. I really do get a bit of a kick out of that. So that's wonderful. Thank you very much for that. And also check out the website, thecloudgeezer.com. Plenty of fun stuff on there as well. So I'll leave you to it. Thanks again. Talk to you next time. Bye.